Hey everybody, are you sick of not being able to edit footage on your home computer? Are you getting that horrible lag, which we all tend to do if you're trying to edit on 4K footage on a computer that's a few years old, or just a home computer that's not really set up for video editing? If this sounds like you, proxies are the way to go. So what I'm going to do now is show you how to create a proxy workflow so that you can edit on almost most computers. So we're going to start off with opening Premiere Pro, and I've renamed it Blade Runner Proxy and where I want to save it. Now from here we want to jump over to ingest settings, click ingest, and we want to change this to create proxies. And we want to choose one of any of these. I mean, ProRes is a fantastic codec. Cineform is a very good codec. I'm going to stay away from H.264s because they're generally more RAM intensive. And I'm going to stick with this one because the computer I'm using is a 2012 MacBook Pro, and it's not very new. So this will probably be able to handle these. Proxy destination, same as project, and I'm going to smash OK. Now in here, this is the important part. So instead of just completely jumping straight in here and hitting import to media, what that'll do is literally import your media. We need to use this tab, which you might not use very often. It's the media browser. And I'm gonna head down to here and go over to where I'm located and head over to the desktop. So all you need to do is navigate to where your things are. Becky Blade Runner, and her files are in here. Now I've not actually sifted through, renamed and logged my footage properly, so for the sake of this next section I'm just going to select all of these, right click and hit import from here. Now what should happen at this point is Media Encoder is going to fire up and it's going to immediately start to render these proxies out for us. So while it does that, I'm just going to pause the recording and wait for it because it's going to struggle screen recording and encoding. Okay, so that took a little bit of time, as you can see from the dramatic change. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clips that are 4K of about 10 to 20 seconds each. Took quite a long time, so be prepared to sit and wait for the encoder to encode while you're waiting for it. Go and have a cup of tea or something like that, or a glass of water. And just to show you where it saves these proxies, it puts it in the same folder, and as you can see here, it's actually renamed them proxies. Now, at this point, when we open up and we watch through, I'm just going to show you the kind of lag that you can experience or expect to experience. So if I press play and this is playing in full, you can see this is choppy and pretty damn hard to view. Now, if we grab our footage, so I'm just going to quickly mark an in and out point. This is actually the clip that I want to use, but let's go over here, mark in, out, and I drag this onto a new sequence. I'm just going to rename this sequence Rough Cut, so I'm somewhat following my typical mantra of housekeeping. Okay, so playing this at an 8th quality, it's probably going to play it well enough. It's very laggy still. So at this point we want to switch this to the proxies so we can watch through this without any issues. And to do that we need an option that's not currently here in these tools. So we're going to hit this plus button, and it's this toggle proxies button here. I'm going to drag that down here and hit OK. Now at this point, the moment I click toggle proxies, you can see it's slightly changed my aspect ratio, and I can put this in full mode, and I should be able to now sample this footage playing back at good speed. Now it's still a little bit jittery for me, and that's probably because I'm recording this, which is quite RAM intensive as well, but you should start to see a much smoother playback. Let's keep it in 4th quality. Quarter quality. So that's much better, and I can still see the quality a little bit more. If I turn this off, it goes back to the regular view, and again, this was laggy at an 8th quality. So just to see, there's a big difference there. So when it comes to rendering, because you are essentially still working in 4K on a 4K timeline, the Premiere Pro will recognize, and so let me show you what I mean. So Premiere Pro will export in 4K whatever output you're wanting to output in 4K, or if you wanted to downscale it to 1080. It will do that, and it will ignore the proxies that it's using, because they're just basically there so that you can edit quicker. So as you can see here, it's recognizing it as a 4K timeline. So editing in Proxies, it takes a little bit longer to set up, but once it does, you should be able to edit on most computers. And if you don't have the ProRes file codec on your computer, like the one you saw earlier, use the Cineform, which is also a nice codec, and go lower resolutions still if your computer is struggling, even with the proxies that I've set here. So I should see an increase the moment I stop recording, but at the moment you can see it's still a little bit laggy for me. But even in an 8th, as you can see there, the footage is viewable, and you can edit fairly well even so. So I hope you've enjoyed this quick tutorial on editing workflow in Proxies, and if you want to work at home and your computer's just not an editing computer, or you don't have a workspace station at work, this should hopefully help you speed up your editing time both at home and at work on most computers.